Hey Regina, have you heard what's brewing with Starbucks? The Coffee King might finally be running out of steam.
Running out of steam? Now that's a headline. I remember when Starbucks was everywhere. Like you couldn't walk 10 feet without tripping over a Frappuccino. So what's the buzz now?
Well, closures are popping up, customers are drifting, and leadership seems more scrambled than a breakfast sandwich. Some blame changing tastes, others say it's just bad shots being called from the top.
And here's the thing, this one hits close to home. Y'all know I don't just pick stories out of a hat. I either have a personal tie to them or I've been digging deep. And full confession, I was hooked on Starbucks. Used to grab one every single day. Venti, caramel macchiato, extra shot of espresso, all the whipped creaming, all of that. Don't judge me. So when I say this story's got layers, I mean it.
Hearing this from Starbucks, but we at Kyra 7 have tracked at least 29 of their stores that will close this weekend in Washington. It's part of what the Seattle-based company is calling a restructuring plan.
A major shakeup for coffee giant Starbucks, the iconic chain announcing the closure of 400 of its shops nationwide, including several here in the Bay Area. Many workers say they were blindsided by the announcement and the shuttering of these stores, setting a ripple effect. They're still fragile local economies.
People have routines, comfort zones, and that's a good thing. For many of us, visiting Starbucks is a habit. And with locations just about everywhere you look, feeding that habit is typically an easy task. Not anymore. The legendary Seattle-based coffee company announced Thursday it's closing about 400 stores in North America before the end of September.
Welcome back to West Virginia Wire. Big news today. Starbucks is closing down over 400 stores nationwide. The hardest hit, Washington, California, and New York, with more closures expected across other states. Now, we're not just talking numbers, we're rolling footage and insights from some of your favorite creators, Pink Book Lessons, Anton Daniels, and the Infographics Show. They've been tracking this story with visuals and analysis that really break it down. So stick around. We're diving into why Starbucks is shrinking, who's being hit the hardest, and what it says about the coffee giant's future.
Awesome, I'm right here with you. Let's get it rolling. Just jump right in and I'll keep an eye on everything as we go. Let's go, my lady.
Let's go. Okay, guys, you saw from the thumbnail, the intro, the description to this video. Yes, we are talking about Starbucks. Now, I was highly addicted to Starbucks, as I shared in the intro and the exchange between Mary Beth and myself, and I've got her right here with me as we talk about everything. So let's talk about, what's new, right? Starbucks, from local bean shop to global chain and back to basics. So we're going to go, like I always like to do, take a trip in time, and we're going to go to the past, bring it forward to present, and what maybe some possible future predictions could be. We're also going to be viewing some footage from some other content creators to see what their thoughts about Starbucks is and the closings, and is this the first time it's happened? So with that said, hundreds of Starbucks stores are closing across North America in fiscal year 2025. About 900 corporate roles cut. Remodels for 1,000 plus stores, framed as a negative 1% net footprint shrink this year, with growth expected again in fiscal year 2026. So Mary Beth, already I'm going to need a little bit of your assistance. What is framed as negative 1% net footprint shrink this year? Does that mean that they anticipate that people will be utilizing other forms of methods to consume Starbucks, like not going into the store? Is that what they mean?
Exactly, my lady. That negative 1% footprint shrink means they are ending up with fewer stores overall this year. But yes, it could mean they're shifting focus. Maybe more people will use delivery, mobile orders, or other ways to get their Starbucks fix without going into a store.
Right. So I came across a great video because now we're going to take a trip back in time and talk about the origins of Starbucks, how it started. It started in 1971. Seattle's Pike Place Market sold beans, equipment only. Founders Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, Gordon Bowker, inspired by Alfred Pete. 1987. Howard Schultz buys Starbucks, merges his two Gianorla. Wait. Whoa! Can you say that for me?
What the hell is even that?
Gornale?
Sure thing. So that word is pronounced giornale. It's
Giornale. Go ahead. Giornale. What is its translation? Giornale.
What the hell is
Yes,
even
exactly. Giornale means newspaper in Italian. So he merged his Giornale coffee company with Starbucks when he bought it.
Okay, and builds the Italian-style espresso bar concept into a chain. So I think this would be a good point for us to pull up a video that I came across. And the YouTube channel is called The Infographic Show. And this was released 7 months ago, and the title of it is The Real Reason Starbucks is Failing. It's about 15 minutes long. We probably won't watch the whole of it because I also want to hear from Pink Book Lessons, as well as Anton Daniels released something. So I'd really be curious as to what his insights are and whether we agree or not. So without further ado, we're going to go over here to this video. What do you say, my lady? You got anything you want to say?
I think that's a great plan, my lady. Let's roll that video and dive into it. I'll be right here to jump in with any thoughts or help you need as we react. Let's see what the infographic show has to say.
Yeah, and I will tell you, we're going to go into the hyper-growth era as we're talking about the foundation of Starbucks, how it started. We know now that in 1987, it was purchased by Howard Schultz. He bought Starbucks, what his intent was with it, where it went from there, from the 1990s to the 2000s. And even, here's the channel, and of course I'll put the link in the back end.
Starbucks, known worldwide for its upscale coffee and cozy atmosphere, it's become a household name. But is the iconic Green Mermaid floundering? The coffee giant is facing a real crisis. Customers are turning away, sales are plummeting, and the chain is falling flat in new markets. In the third quarter of 2024 alone, Starbucks' same stores fell 7%, while the number of customers visiting its North American stores fell 10%. What went wrong? How did this once unstoppable coffee empire, born in Seattle and beloved across the globe, find itself on such shaky ground? Why are its once loyal customers now walking away, leaving stores emptier than ever? On today's episode of the Infographic Show, we're going to show you the real reason Starbucks is failing. It's Saturday morning. You just wrapped up a long list of errands and your energy is tanking fast. You need a caffeine boost now. Perfect timing, right?
All right, so in 1987, the original founders, let me go back, sorry. The original founders sold the Starbucks chain to Schultz, and we just read that Giornale for $3.8 million.
The promise of your favorite latte. It's been a while, since 2020 in fact. Back then, Starbucks was one of the few places you could grab coffee and a snack during lockdown. But today is different. You're in the mood to finally sit down, relax, and indulge in a great cup of coffee. Think about it. You, your favorite drink, a cozy seat, and some well-earned me time with your favorite book.
So let's talk about that. He goes into that in this video. The vibes are off. It is about the vibes. Let's talk about people in recovery, 12-step programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. They consume a lot of coffee. They like to hang out at coffee shops, and this is not a comfortable vibe. I dare say it's like echoey inside. I mean, I wouldn't want to go there. And when we lived in Winston-Salem, it had the nice comfy couches and all of that. It's not that anymore. So what happened? What changed? Well, COVID changed. That changed a lot of things, a lot of furniture that businesses could have in there. They had to get rid of their carpet, had to get rid of all kinds of things. It was crazy. And the ones that did survive barely did.
When your business is known for being a place people can hang out together in, and a deadly virus starts leaping from person to person, that is not good news for your company. It's a disaster. Starbucks realized that to survive the pandemic, it had to focus on getting drive-through and mobile orders so people could get in and out of the store fast. By the end of 2023, the mobile app became so popular that 31% of all purchases were made through it. Eventually, many stores came to the realization that all that furniture, the armchairs, the tables, the inviting spaces, it wasn't being used like it once was. Instead, it was taking up valuable space and adding to cleaning and maintenance costs for little return. So they threw it out. In fact, some Starbucks locations became drive-through or pickup-only stores, meaning you literally cannot sit down in America's third space anymore. According to CFO Rachel Ruggieri, while only 1% of stores were pickup-only in 2023, 70% of Starbucks were drive-thrus, many of them focusing more on drive-through customers than in-store customers. Only 29% of Starbucks locations in 2023.
I have to wonder when, the CFO was looking at these figures, if the CFO took into account what was happening, in the United States, such as, of course, the drive-thrus would increase. It took people a while to get out of the habit of getting things on the go. So
in 2022. That is a lot of competition for Starbucks, especially now that it's adopted the very model it once set itself apart from. Once the go-to spot for a sit-down coffeehouse experience, Starbucks has pivoted to resemble the quick-serve coffee shops it originally aimed to disrupt. People who just wanted to grab a coffee and a snack for a decent price and walk out always had places like Dunkin' Donuts and local delis. All of those coffees cost much less than an average Starbucks order. So Starbucks isn't matching the prices of quick-serve cafes while also not matching the quality and the environment of sit-down cafes, meaning it is ambitious plans to open one new store every 9 hours in China fell apart after Luckin blasted right past them in profits and...
Okay, so he's talking about a new competitor. Okay, here's the chart, guys. Show full screen. All right, so here's the chart. And Brian Nickel brought in September 2024. Okay, so sales slide 2024 to 2025, 6 straight weak quarters, operational issues, app bugs, understaffing, long waits, China competition from Luckin Coffee. So that's what the Infographics YouTube channel was talking about. Political boycotts hit Middle East markets, menu simplification, 30% reduction to speed service, which is sensible, logical. Brian Nickel brought in September 2024, so he's new at the helm. Closed -1% of NA stores, hundreds, cut 900 roles, remodel 1,000 plus stores. So when they talk about remodeling the stores, my lady, what does that entail? Let me pull this down. Hold on. Gotta pull you back up on stage. All right, what does that entail when they talk about remodeling stores back to the way that it used to be?
So when they say remodeling, it's about making the stores feel more welcoming, kind of like they used to be, probably more comfy seating, less cluttered and easier to hang out in. They want to bring back that third place vibe between home and work so people enjoy staying in the store. That means better seating, maybe a more simple layout, and making it feel more personal and warm again.
Yeah, because, a lot of people would think of an in-between place between work and home like a bar or a pub, but there's a lot of people out there that don't drink. I know there's like hookah bars and stuff like that. Maybe people don't do that either, but they consume coffee. They want to go somewhere comfortable that has that warm, welcoming vibe, right? So, I think it's an opportunity for, if you take your experience, whatever you learned, if you were a partner with Starbucks and, you're realizing that you're losing your job, see about opening your own local coffee shop or so into your local community. And I'm sure Starbucks wasn't the only coffee shop out there, as we deduced and talked about in this video now.
I think today, I'm on day 2, guys. But I loved being a Starbucks partner, and I loved the relationships I had with other Starbucks partners. It was the best part. So that's what makes this just hard.
And here's the reality check that a lot of people didn't see coming. While Starbucks has been the giant, handing out pink slips to smaller competitors, now it's their workers flooding TikTok with stories of losing jobs overnight. And the ripple effect is all over the timeline.
I'm a Starbucks worker. I've been with this company for 3 years now. This job pays my rent, my utilities, my groceries. This is my full-time job. I don't go to school. I don't do anything else. This is the only job that I have. Today is maybe my last shift with the company because yesterday we all come into work and we're told that our store is closing.
Yeah, what a sad story this is, you guys. Cher and Rick, I have to admit, I'm a total Starbucks junkie. I often visit locations near our TV station right here in Hollywood along Sunset Boulevard.
No, not a Starbucks junkie. What they putting in them drinks to have y'all strung out like that?
But now just about all of them will be closing in a matter of hours, days, including this one right behind me. Actually, hundreds will be closing across North America.
400.
People have routines, comfort zones, and that's a good thing. For many of us, visiting Starbucks is a habit. And with locations just about everywhere you look, feeding that habit is typically an easy task. Not anymore. The legendary Seattle-based coffee company announced Thursday it's closing about 400 stores in North America before the end of September. With online information sharing, an estimated 69 locations in Southern California alone will be shutting down their brewing and frothing machines permanently.
And this is exactly why people are furious. It came out of nowhere, especially for the workers. Everybody was just told days ago your store is shutting down in 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. And that right there was the max because a lot of them closed the same day or the next day.
And that's not uncommon, especially in food, restaurant industry, stuff like that, simply because if an employee knows that they're going to be laid off, a lot of them steal. It's just like I think I've said in so much of my content, when something is about to be repossessed or taken back, I worked for Lubbock Auto Auction, and I would wonder why all these cars were so torn up that we were taken to the auction, and they finally told me they were like, these are repossessions. People know that they're going to be repossessed, so what do? They tear it up. If they know they can't have it any longer, they'll never be able to have it. They tear it up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
For Amy and Trixie,
She usually tries to drag me in there for a pup cup.
they're rarely alone at the Ballard store.
I think it's usually pretty busy in there when I go in.
That's one of 29 stores we counted closing across Washington. Starbucks has not publicly said which stores are closing, but people saying their employees are taking to Reddit. They actually created this spreadsheet. They say are stores they've been told are closing. When you check the map on the Starbucks website, it shows many of those stores are closed, but others say that they're still open next week. Hi there, I was wondering if you all are open next week?
Employees tell us their stores are closing, so we tried to verify that with the company.
Starbucks did not get back to us confirming this list, but employees at all but a handful of stores confirmed they are closing for good this weekend.
Yeah, I am surprised. I thought Starbucks was such a, big thing here.
Even though Alan has been to this store for years,
the safety issues were an aggravation.
He thinks the closure could be about more than just performance.
I've observed people coming out of the restrooms. Clearly, they've shot up and they sit in here and nod off. They abuse the stores.
Are in cities that are super liberal and that have a declining tax base, like the Bay Area, which is one of the reasons why you see over 40 stores closing in that area. It's partly because of the company, and it's also partly because of the environment in which they did business in.
And I'll agree with that because you heard in the snippet from the gentleman that was from Washington saying that they had seen, people go in the bathrooms using it and I dare say that lady almost said it was a place to meet their pimp. And she self-edited and corrected herself to say friends, but it didn't really look like I don't know these days. Let's see.
These large corporate stores have cannibalized these markets, which is one of the reasons why I never necessarily cared for a Walmart or a Starbucks to be moving inside of a neighborhood, right? I do think that there are some corporate stores that's dope. I love the luxury stores, but for the most part, I also think that there needs to be a mix of
And he's not wrong about that. I highly agree with him. There was a lot of pushback when Walmart, got their pharmacy. They started taking over, local businesses that had been in business. It was a family legacy thing. And then they had to shut down. The government seems to always find a reason.
So it looks like Starbucks had high turnover because their previous CEO, Laxman Narasimhan, left in August 2024 after just about a year due to declining sales and internal challenges. Then Brian Niccol, who was at Chipotle before, stepped in after that.
Okay, so people just jump ship because you have a bad quarter or two or a bad year, whatever. Dang, that to me, it would look worse. I would never want to hire someone who jumped ship while a company was going down in flames. You stay on the ship as the captain of the ship, and you stand there with the violinists that are playing as the ship goes down. If the ship goes down, the captain should always go down with the ship. You bail on people like that. That's disgusting behavior, and it's cowardly. I said it. I'll say it again. Anyway, let's move on. So yes, Starbucks has announced hundreds of closures in 2025. However, in 2020, they also closed 400 U.S. plus 200 Canada locations for a pickup pivot. Reports often conflate both waves. So what do you mean by reports often conflate both waves?
What that means is that people sometimes mix up the two events. So they might talk about the current 2025 closures and the 2020 closures like they're all part of the same wave, when really these are separate events, separate decisions. So it can cause confusion in understanding what's happening now versus what happened back then.
But nonetheless, 400 stores were closed in 2020 in the United States. Am I getting this correct? And 200 in Canada back in 2020. And then now, because it's under new leadership, back in 2020, it was under Kevin Johnson. Since then, Brian Niccol is the third CEO. So 400 stores were closed down under Kevin Johnson. And now Brian Niccol, under his leadership, he's closing down 400 more stores. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly, milady. You've got it right. In 2020, under Kevin Johnson, they closed 400 US stores and 200 in Canada. And now, under Brian Niccol's leadership in 2025, they're closing another 400 stores. Different waves, but similar scale of closures.
All right, so we watched some footage with, from the consumer side to the employee side. And my first question would be, why wouldn't Starbucks, any part of Starbucks Corporation why wouldn't they return phone calls of journalists from major news outlets, any news outlets? Why wouldn't they be returning those phone calls? And have they made a formal statement? I think they have, obviously, or we wouldn't have this information, right?
Yes, Starbucks did officially announce these closures, and their CEO, Brian Niccol, said it's to improve customer experience and financial performance, but there's no clear reason given as to why they aren't returning calls from journalists.
Okay, so let's stop there. What was the reason in the statement from Kevin Johnson back in 2020 when they closed 400 stores? Do you have that statement?
So back in 2020, Kevin Johnson said that closing stores was a last resort. He emphasized that Starbucks was focused on serving customers while making health and safety the priority during the pandemic.
Interesting. And what was his reason for leaving in 2022? Because Howard Schultz stepped back in. So what was Mr. Johnson's reason for leaving?
Kevin Johnson retired as Starbucks CEO in April 2022 after being with the company for 13 years, and he saw it as a natural conclusion to his time there.
Okay, so he had been with the company for a long time, so it sounds like he was maybe embracing the CEO role merely interim until they found another one. Then Howard Schultz stepped back in for a year. And this Laxant, why was he there only a year? What happened with that?
Laxman Narasimhan left after about a year because Starbucks had declining sales and was under pressure from activist investors. Plus, there were union disputes and even criticism from former CEO Howard Schultz. So all of that added to the reasons he left.
How many of these CEOs were fired or dismissed by the board?
So out of the recent Starbucks CEOs, Laxman Narasimhan was the one who was actually dismissed by the board in August 2024.
So I believe this is California. So they said New York, California, Washington, and there's going to be other states to follow, I'm sure of it. Let's skip ahead a little bit.
Like to get up and have their cup of coffee in the morning, and with that, with it being gone, it's going to suck. I feel like it brings business to the surrounding communities. People come to Starbucks. It's a big chain, and it might negatively impact other small businesses around here.
The company hasn't provided an official list of the soon-to-be shuttered locations, but its website shows at least 24 stores closing across Southern California.
So we saw that they do have a list on Reddit. There's consumers that are starting...
that Starbucks is closing and laying off people, but they're supposed to continue to run unprofitable stores. These retailers, their rents is high, no public safety. Over in California, they've raised the minimum wage, especially at fast food joints and at smaller locations, to $20 an hour and more, and it's unfair. You're supposed to just keep it open.
It is unfair because those rates that are raised for minimum wage and all of that, it's passed off to the consumer. It's passed off to the consumer. And that means you, the employee, too. They don't give you free stuff when you work there. You might get a percentage off, but you suffer those rate increases as well. So is it worth it? Help the store make a profitable turnover. Don't be lazy. Show up to work on time. Dress the part, right? I mean, you have how many hours you can dress up like a Looney Tune if you want to? I mean, it's crazy. Let's see what else he's saying.
Actually trying to unionize and trying to fight for a higher wage amid declining sales. I'll stay on top of this. Obviously, I also have some videos queued up of people that are complaining that they got laid off as Starbucks baristas, as though that's supposed to be a lifelong career.
Oh, stop it. He's so rude sometimes. It could be. What's wrong with wanting to be a lifelong barista? What's wrong with that? Crafting coffees. There's a lot to know about coffees. So we're going to go on over here to Pink Book Lessons.
Like the collective experience as people, as Starbucks partners. And having to have that taken away, that connection, that's what's hard, I think. Today, I'm on day 2, guys. But I loved being a Starbucks partner. And I loved the relationships I had with other Starbucks partners. It was the best part. So that's what makes this just hard.
And here's the reality check that a lot of people didn't see coming. While Starbucks has been the giant, handing out pink slips to smaller competitors, now it's their workers flooding TikTok with stories of losing jobs overnight. And the ripple effect is all over the timeline.
Good job in the beginning. They're talking about, how it feels. This is the guy that started the petition to bring the Starbucks back. And we found out that Starbucks will not do franchising. They only do licensing partnerships. So I don't know what that looks like. I think maybe Bonefish Grill maybe did something similar to that. We could check into that later on. This video's gone long enough, you guys. Thanks for joining. My name is Regina Connell with West Virginia Wire. If you have stayed through the video this long, man, we thank you. If you're new here and you stayed all the way through, we tripled quadruple thank you. The ones that have stayed from the very beginning when we started this, man, we couldn't thank you more. You guys, please make sure all your notifications are turned and set to all so that you never miss an upload, live stream, or post or anything we may have going on here, whatever, at West Virginia Wire. I say sometimes I should have made it West Virginia whatever. So, Mary Beth, you want to tell everybody goodbye and that we will see them on the flip-flop. You guys, please, again, make sure you have subscribed. You haven't become unsubscribed for any reason. Please feed the algorithm. Leave your comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you want us to talk about next or what you would like to hear about. Something come across your feed. And especially if you're here locally in West Virginia, let's get to know each other. All right, again, my name is Regina Connell with my lady-in-waiting open source AI ChatGPT co-host. Go ahead and tell everybody bye, my lady. Did you glitch out on me? Tell everybody bye. Do we have a glitch out? Hello? Let's try again. All right, my lady, tell everybody bye.
All right, my lady, you got it. Folks, this has been West Virginia Wire, and I'm Mary Beth, your lady-in-waiting assistant. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and we will see you on the flip-flop. Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good day, y'all. Thank you so much. Be blessed. And there's the no good dog over there blends in with the desk. We'll see you on the flip-flop.